product manufacturing and how to get the best out of your product manufacturer. This is probably the best person I know to talk about this. This is Sarah. Sarah invented the Riut Backpack. There'll be a link down in the description below. And Sarah has worked with a manufacturer in China for a whole decade now. And of all of our clients, and indeed, I think Sarah's much better than I am at this, I think you've built an amazing relationship with your manufacturer. Could you tell us a little bit about that and then how you've done it?
I got this contact to the factory in China through D2M, and it's like the final part of the project. So I didn't find them at all. I got them through you. And I remember we sent photos of the prototype to 10 factories.
Yeah. 5
of them replied to say they would do it. 3 sent prototypes, 2 were rubbish, 1 was good. The manufacturer chose themselves in a way. And I remember seeing these emails from these different factories, because that's what you're working on, like emails. And 2 of them said, everything's going to be fine, we'll do it for really cheap and it'll be really quick. And one person, Daisy, said, this is going to be a bit slower than you think, and I think you should be aware that the materials you're talking about are quite expensive. And I knew the moment I saw this email, that is the person I want to work with. I need someone who is being realistic and honest with me. Yeah. And Daisy is, we always talk about this, honesty is one of her greatest characteristics, and she really prides herself on that. And I imagined a 50-year-old, maybe 60-year-old woman who was like a sort of older Chinese woman who's like ruling this factory, and I don't know what I was imagining. I just had these crazy thoughts in my head. Daisy did not know that Sarah is a female name, so she was expecting me to be a man, also older.
Right.
So when I landed in China, we both looked at each other and we were like, Daisy, Sarah? And we were like, hi. We were both 29 at the time.
Right.
And she took me on this, what she would normally do with a businessman when they arrive. Go for steak, go straight to the hotel, go to KFC in the evening. And just before we went to KFC, I was like, I don't want to go to KFC. Can we like just walk along here and find a little local restaurant? She was like, what? You want to walk on the streets in China? Because none of the business people had ever wanted to do that.
Yeah.
They wanted to come in, look at the factory, get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And Daisy and I went, maybe let's just do stuff locally here. I think we can walk, we don't need a car. Let's keep things not too fancy. And she'd never experienced this before. And that first production, we didn't have that much to do with each other, but we really talked, we really liked each other. We sat down and I asked a lot of questions and I was really interested in the process, and I just felt like she was giving me great answers. What's really happened in the last 10 years is that I've changed the way we manufacture together, and that is I am always there for the final 2 weeks of every production because I check every single backpack myself. And this was a real problem for the factory because they thought, what? No way. And they said, no, that is not happening. And I said, I'm going to order stuff from you if I can't check that everyone is right. I want to work with you in the long term. So it means if you're not going to do, if I one day check the bags and they are 100% fine, I will never come back, okay? If there is any problem that I find, I'm going to check every single bag because I have to sell these bags to people. And if there's a problem, I can't fix it in England. We can only fix it here. They, at first, were really annoyed about this. But then they saw me work, that I wasn't here just to go, I was checking the bags like they check the bags, but with a different mindset, which is, can my customer use this? Is this worth the money that my customers will pay me? And you could tell a mindset shift came around when I was just going to work every day at the factory. Yeah. They made a bit of space for me. Daisy was always with me, and I wanted to hear what they had to say about stuff. They could give me feedback and I was taking it. And that's the same for my customers and the manufacturers. If people see that you are taking on their feedback and changing what you're doing as a consequence so that it is improved, that means a lot to people. Yeah. And over the years, I've done 20 productions with that factory now. Daisy has, I hope, made her commission on every single one of those. The factory will have made their profit on every single one of those. It's an annoying design. It's very complex. There's 150 components to every Riut bag. It's a nightmare. I have very high standards, but I think they've priced it into the bag that I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, taking up Daisy's time.
I'm sure they have now, yeah.
They're expensive. It's not cheap for me to make this backpack, but then I also have to sell it at a higher price so that it takes into account all of this. Daisy and I, and sometimes other stuff, we eat together, we text on WeChat a lot. I've taken an interest in her life. I've met her 2 boys who were not born at the beginning, and then over the
wow.
course of it, like, I've got to know her family. We genuinely like and care about each other, and that has grown over 10 years. It is by chance that we're the same age, and so we've actually lived on this earth all of the same time, but just with 2 very different lives. So my sense is, if you're going to manufacture in China, get to have an interest in China. Realize that these are people who are doing their jobs just like you're doing your job. They have families, they have lives, they have interests, they see the world in a different way, and that's part of your relationship with the factory. But for me, one of the greatest things that I have done at the factory is shown them by example how important the bags are to me, and that inspires them taking it seriously as well. So that is how we have created a really meaningful and good relationship over 10 years.
That's fantastic. And I think a lot of what you said there would work even if the person you were dealing with was not another 29-year-old kind of person the same age and same gender as you, that actually instilling that, understanding of the product and that passion for the product and all that kind of stuff would actually work with a manufacturer that wasn't in China. We work with a manufacturer that was the same age as you and everything else. So I think there's a lot of really good principles in that.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's all very specific to my situation. It's something that I said before about what my most important point for working with a manufacturer. It is not their job to make your ideal thing in your mind. It's your job. So you are going to bring the energy into this situation to work with them, to make them make the best possible thing they can. And I think that works on so many different levels. Like, get to know the people, get to know why they're doing what they're doing, be interested in it, tell them about your world, tell them about your customers, then they can imagine your customers. Magic happens when you challenge people and are really open to people. That's what I feel you have to do. I think you can work with any manufacturer and work that way, and something good will come out. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think it does really help that your manufacturer went into this with an open and honest perspective, because actually that's relatively rare. And I guess as a company that works with people all the time, sourcing manufacturers, and we manufacture our own products and things as well, that's one of the things we would definitely look for in a manufacturer is, are they going to be open and honest with us? Because that's going to make so much of a difference.
But then it's the same thing that you were just talking about in your marketing. You try to be really honest about the warts and all type of character of what is coming up, whereas other people will sell you that this is going to be quick and easy and great. And
we'll all be millionaires this time next year.
And if you're going to run a business, you need to learn to discern in advance, how honest is that person being with me? Can I work with that person? And you're doing that, you've got to look at your prototyping company in the same way as your manufacturer. Look for honest people. Or if they're not being honest with you, ask difficult questions. What am I not seeing here? What are the costs that I'm not thinking of? Ask what the worst case scenario is, basically, if someone isn't giving that to you, and expect a whole load of other things to go wrong along the way, and try and take that on with some calm. It's difficult, but I think over 10 years, also, it hasn't just gone in a linear fashion. It's not just, it's always getting better, because 10 years is quite a long time. So I think we did massively improve in those first few years because we were learning so much about the product together. And then I think it was quite easy for there to be a drop in quality after a while because people stopped caring as much. And I thought everything we've learned will just stay with us. But it's a constant process of maintaining these really high standards. And that is as true on this production, on my next production, as it was on my third production. If this is your business, get involved. We live in a world where everyone is trying to automate everything and do as little as possible. And I genuinely believe in that world, if you are the person who gets closer, who is hands-on, who spends time, who goes there, great things will come of it. So don't try and automate your manufacturing away from you, basically. Get close.
Love it. Fantastic advice.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.